Okay, the first question. A flower differs from a vegetative shoot in that. Option 1. It has no buds in the axils of its leaves. Option 2. The internode remains very short. Option 3. It shows limited growth. And option 4. All the above. So what is the difference between flower and the vegetative shoot? Flower is responsible for the reproduction, and the vegetative shoot normally it is responsible for the production of branches, leaves. So here normally the flowers are called as the modified shoot. The various parts of the vegetative plant body modified into a collective structure called as the flower. So in the flower, if you see the flower, sepal is a modified leaf, petals are the modified leaves, stamens are the modified leaves, carpels are also the modified leaves. But if you observe the vegetative shoot, there will be the gap between the successive leaves. The region on the stem where the leaves are erased is known as node, and the region between the successive nodes is called as internodes. But if you observe the flower, there is no gap between the adjacent floral parts. So the gap between the nodal region, internode, that is very short in case of flowers. So the first option, it has no buds in the axils of its leaves. Yes, it is of course true, because in vegetative shoot, at the base of the axil of the leaves, the axillary bud will be there. But in case of flower, there is no buds in the axils of its leaves, means in the floral leaves. The second point, the second option, the internode remains very short. Of course, it is true. And the third option, it shows limited growth. The vegetative shoot is continuously growing. The new leaves will be formed at the apex. But in case of flower, once the flower is formed, after that there is no further growth. So the answer is all the above. Option D is the right answer to the question number 1. So here you can see the photograph showing the differences between the flower and the vegetative shoot. So here the petals, sepals, androecium, gynoecium represent the modified leaves. But in the vegetative shoot, you can see the gap between the successive leaves, the gap between the successive nodes called as internode. So that is and the apical meristem is continuously glowing. Here you cannot see that apical bud in the flower. So the flower shows limited growth, but the vegetative shoot shows unlimited growth. Now the question number 2. The smallest flower is produced by which plant? Option A, Wolffia eriza. Wolffia eriza. W-O-L-F-F-I-A. Eriza. A-R-R-H-I-Z-A. Second one is Rafflesia. Third one is Eucalyptus. And the fourth one is Sequoia sempervirens. So what will be the right answer here? See, the Sequoia sempervirens is not the flowering plant. That is the gymnosperm. So definitely option 4 is wrong. So the answer should be either 1, 2 or 3. You know about the eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is the tallest angiosperm. Sequoia is the tallest plant. This is the tallest plant in the plant kingdom. Of course, it belongs to the gymnospermae, and this is the tallest plant. Eucalyptus is the tallest angiosperm. Then what about the option 2, Rafflesia? Rafflesia produces largest flower in the plant kingdom. So definitely the answer should be Wolffia eriza. So Wolffia eriza is the answer to this question. The smallest flower is produced by the Wolffia. Even this is the smallest angiospermic plant. Here you can see the photograph of Wolffia. See here the small structures are representing the plant. The next one is Rafflesia, the largest flower. This is the root parasite. The next one is Eucalyptus. So you can see the trees, eucalyptus trees. So this is the close photograph. The flowers are clearly visible, even the leaves. And then Sequoia sempervirens, the tallest tree in the world, in the plant kingdom. Now, question number 3. If the thalamus is convex, conical or flat, The gynoecium occupies the topmost position and the other floral parts originate below it. This condition is called option 1 epigyny, option 2 perigyny, option 3 hypogyny, and option 4 achlamydias. So I think you have heard about the first three terms in first PUC. Achlamydias represent the naked flower. Here the flower does not contain calyx and corolla, or the calyx and corolla are not clearly differentiated. So that is also called as achlamydias. And epigyny is the condition. Epigynous flower means all the floral parts are arranged above the gynoecium. So the gynoecium or the ovary is inferior and all the other floral parts are arranged above the gynoecium. So here the question says, if the thalamus is convex, conical or flat, the gynoecium occupies the topmost position and the other floral parts are originate below it. That means all the floral parts are arranged below the gynoecium. Below means hypo. Below the gynoecium, that represent hypogynous flower. So the answer should be option 3. Option should be option 3. Then what is meant by perigynous? Perigynous means all the floral parts are arranged in the equal plane, in the same plane. The thalamus is expanded, gynoecium occupies the central position, and all the remaining floral parts, androecium, sepals and petals, are arranged on the rim of the thalamus. So here is a photograph of epigynous flower. Say epigynous insertion. Insertion means the mode of arrangement of floral orals on the thalamus is called as insertion. So based on the insertion, the flower can be differentiated into epigynous, perigynous and hypogynous. Here you can see ovary is inferior and the next one is perigynous. Here all the floral parts are arranged in the same plane. And the third one is hypogynous. Hypogynous means the ovary is superior and all the remaining floral parts are arranged below the gynoecium. And here is the achlamydious flower. Achlamydious means the naked flower. That means sepals, petals are absent. The next, we will move to the next question, number 4. An anther with the malfunctioning tapetum often fails to produce viable male gametophytes. Why? So here the tapetum is malfunctioning, and in such case what happens, it fails to produce viable male gametophytes. Viable means it has the capacity to fertilize. Male gametophyte means pollen grains. So if the tapetum is malfunctioning, that leads to the production of malfunctioning male gametophytes, or that fails to produce viable male gametophytes. Why? Option 1. The malfunctioning tapetum does not undergo meiosis to develop as pollen grains. Option 2. The malfunctioning tapetum does not help for the dehiscence of anther. Option 3. The malfunctioning tapetum does not nourish the developing pollen grains. And option 4. There is no significant role for tapetum in the anther. The last option is definitely wrong because the tapetum has a significant role. So this option is wrong. Say the option 3. The malfunctioning tapetum does not nourish the developing pollen grains. So the question is, an anther with malfunctioning tapetum often fails to produce viable male gametophyte. Why? The malfunctioning tapetum does not nourish the developing pollen grains. Is it true? Yes, of course, because tapetum is nutritive function that provides nutrition to the developing pollen grains. So the answer should be option 3 itself. Why the option 2 is wrong? Because here it is given as malfunctioning tapetum does not help for the dehiscence of anther. So definitely tapetum is not involved in the dehiscence of anther, but this is not because of the malfunctioning tapetum. That means the dehiscence of anther is mainly because of the endothecium. So option 2 is wrong, and option 1 says the malfunctioning tapetum does not undergo meiosis to develop pollen grains. That is true. The tapetal cells does not undergo meiosis. That is true, but this is not the right answer because pollen grains are not produced from the tapetal cells. So definitely the answer is option 3. Option 3 is the right answer. Now the question number 5. Select the correct option. Statement A. several hormonal and structural changes are initiated which lead to the differentiation and further development of floral primordium. Statement B. In the flower, the male and female reproductive structures, the androecium and the gynoecium, differentiate and develop. So just go through the statement A. Several hormones and structural changes are initiated which lead to the differentiation and further development of the floral primordium. So this statement is correct. Statement B. In the flower, male and female reproductive structures, the androecium and gynoecium, differentiate and develop. That is also true. So both the statements are correct. Let us see the options. Statement A is wrong. Statement B is right. Definitely this option is wrong. Option 2. Statement A is right and B is wrong. Again, this option is also wrong. Both the statements are right. So definitely this is the right answer. And option 4, both the statements are wrong. Definitely this option is wrong. So option 3 is the right answer. Now the question number 6. Name the first cell of male gametophytic generation in flowering plants. Option A, microspore. Option 2, megaspore. Option 3, pollen mother cell. And option 4, megaspore mother cell. The question is, first cell of male gametophytic generation. Male gametophyte is nothing but pollen grain. Pollen grain. So the answer should be which one? Microspore or pollen mother cell. So definitely megaspore mother cell is wrong and even megaspore is also wrong. Then what should be the right answer? Microspore or pollen mother cell? The answer is microspore. The reason is pollen mother cell is present within the anther. Anther is the part of the androecium. Androecium is found in the flower. Flower is produced on the plant body. So the plant body of angiosperm is the sporophyte. So flower is a part of the sporophyte, and within the anther the pollen mother cell is present. So that is also the part of the sporophyte and that is diploid in nature. Say the male gametophyte, that is a pollen grain, is produced or developed from microspore. And gametophytic generation in flowering plant is haploid. Here pollen mother cell is diploid and the microspore is haploid, and the microspores are released from the anther and such microspores develop into male gametophyte, that is pollen grain. So definitely the answer is option 1. Now question number 7. Label the diagram. So this is the diagram of young anther. The young anther, the internal structure of young anther. So here the labeling A represent the epidermis, labeling B endothecium, labeling C middle layers, and labeling D is sporogenous tissue, and labeling E is tapetum. So let us see the options. Option 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the answer should be option 2. A epidermis, B endothecium, C middle layers, D sporogenous tissue, and E tapetum. Now question number 8. Stamens fused by both the filaments as well as the anthers throughout their whole length are present in 1 and cohesion is called 2. So we should fill in the blanks. Option 1, cucurbita diadelphous. So this is definitely wrong. Diadelphous means the filaments are fused in 2 bundles, and that is not found in the cucurbita. So definitely 1 is wrong. Option 2, Helianthus syngenesius. Option 3, cucurbita cynandrus. And option 4, Ricinus cynandrus. See, this condition is called as cynandrus. The anthers are fused, the filaments as well as anthers are fused throughout their length. So that is called as cynandrus and is found in the cucurbita. So option 3 is the right answer. Now question number 9. This is wrong about tapetum. It transports nutrients to developing pollen grains. Option 2, secretes oil coating cover pollen grains called pollen kit. It protects the pollen from UV radiations and attracts insects. Option 3, secretes a special protein to recognize compatibility. Option 4, it secretes enzyme and hormones. So what is the right answer? Right answer means the wrong statement about tapetum. It transports nutrients to developing pollen grains. That is 100% correct, because tapetum is nutritive in function, so that is true. Secretes oil coating over pollen grains called pollen kit, that is right, and that pollen kit that provides protection against UV radiations and attracts insects, that is true. Secretes special protein to recognize compatibility, the pollen compatibility, that is also because of the secretion of tapetum. It secretes enzyme, that is true, but not the cellulase. The enzyme secreted by this is called as callase. It secretes the enzyme callase. So the wrong statement about tapetum is option 4. Question number 10. These are the properties of pollen grains. Option A. Pollen grains of many species cause severe allergies and bronchial afflictions leading to chronic respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, etc. Yes, this statement is true. Statement B. They are rich in nutrients, so the pollen tablets and syrups are used as food supplements. Yes, because of that, their nutritive quality, they are used as tablets and used as food supplements. That is true. So the statement B is also correct. Statement C. Consumption of pollen grains may increase the performance of athletes and race horses. Of course, statement C is also right. So all the 3 statements are correct. Let us see the options. A, B, both are correct. B, C are also right. So A, B, C, yes, it should be the right answer. Option 3 is the right answer to the question number 10. Question number 11. Tube nucleus and generative nucleus is produced by. Tube nucleus is nothing but the vegetative nucleus, and the generative nucleus is produced by. Option 1. Mitotic division of haploid nucleus of pollen grain. Mitotic division of haploid nucleus of pollen grain. Option 2. Meiotic division of diploid nucleus of pollen grain. Option 3. Mitotic division of haploid nucleus of egg cell. Option 4. Meiotic division of diploid nucleus of egg cell. Definitely option 3 and 4 are wrong, because not produced by the egg cell. Tube nucleus, generative nucleus are the part of the pollen grains, so definitely 3 and 4 are wrong. So the answer should be either 1 or 2. And just remember, pollen grain is the origin. In both the option, it says the same, pollen grain, from the pollen grain. And the pollen grain is haploid. So in haploid cell, there is no chance for the occurrence of meiosis. So definitely that should be the mitotic division. So mitotic division of haploid nucleus of pollen grain is the right option. Option number 1 is the right answer to the question number 11. Now, the question number 12. Which of the following statements is correct? Option 1. Pollen syrup and tablets gradually induce allergy in humans. Option 2. Most monocots have tricolpate pollens. Sporopollenin is made up of inorganic materials. Option 4. Sporopollenin cannot react with acid or alkali. Let us see the statement 1. Option 1. Pollen syrup and tablets gradually induce allergy. This statement is wrong. Pollens may induce allergy in humans, but not the pollen syrup. If it is allergic, such syrup will not be produced. So pollen syrup and tablets gradually induce allergy in humans is wrong. Second statement. Most monocots have tricolpate pollens. Is this correct? Most monocots have monocolpate pollens. So they are asking the correct statement. So most monocots have tricolpate pollens is wrong. Sporopollenin is made up of inorganic materials. No, again this is wrong, because sporopollenin is made up of organic materials. That is, sporopollenin is an organic compound. And option 4. Sporopollenin cannot react with acid or alkali. Yes, this is true. That's why sporopollenin is considered as one of the rigid organic compound, highly resistant organic compound, because it cannot react with acid or alkali. So the option 4 should be the right answer to the question number 12. Question number 13. Identify the true statement about the plants where pollen grains are shed at two-celled condition. See, just remember, out of 100% of angiospermic plants, or in among the angiospermic plants, 60% of angiosperms produces pollen grains or shed the pollen grains in two-celled stage. So two-celled means it consists vegetative cell as well as generative cell. Just remember this. Let us see the options. Pollen grain carry the two male gametes from the beginning. Definitely wrong, because this is true about three-celled condition. If the pollen grains are shed at three-celled condition, then they consist two male gametes from the beginning. So this statement is definitely wrong. Option 2. The generative cell divides and forms two male gametes during the growth of pollen tube in the stigma. Yes. After the deposition of pollen grains on the compatible stigma, the germination of pollen grain takes place. At that stage, the generative cell divides mitotically and that produces two male gametes. So option 2 should be the right answer, but we don't know about the third and fourth option. Let us see. Third option. It is found in about 40% of angiosperm. Wrong. This one is wrong because it is found in about 60% of the angiosperm. And both 2 and 3 is wrong. So option 2 is the right answer to the question number 13. Question number 14. Male gametophyte of angiosperm is reduced to. Male gametophyte of angiosperm is pollen grain. In most of the cases, in 60% of the angiosperms, it is reduced to two-celled stage. Generative cell, vegetative cell. So just remember this point and let us move to the options. 1 cell, 2 cells, 3 cells, 4 cells. In majority of the plants, 2 cells. Option 2 is the right answer to the question number 14. So these are the pollen grains. Just see the diversity in the texture of pollen grains. So how beautiful it is. And here you can see the most allergic pollen grains. So these are also pollen grains. Now let us move to the question number 15. Pollen grains are shed at two-celled condition consisting vegetative cell and egg cell. Wrong, because egg cell is not found in the pollen grains. 2. Central cell and egg cell. No, this is also wrong. Antipodal cell and synergids. Wrong, these are found in the embryo sac. And option 4, vegetative cell and generative cell. Yes, of course, this should be the right answer to the question number 15. Question number 16. Select the correct option about the diagram. So one diagram is given. Let us see the options. The diagram represents linear microspore tetrad. Option 2. In this diagram, 4 microspores are arranged in one plane and are equally spaced apart. Option 3. The diagram represents the arrangement of microspore tetrads in Magnolia grandiflora, that is belongs to the family Magnoliaceae, and Atriplex. Option 4. The diagram represents T-shaped microspore tetrad arrangement. So what is the right answer? See here, the first option, the diagram represents linear microscope tetrad. So the given diagram. Now this diagram represents the linear microscope tetrad, but the given diagram is not correct to this particular statement. So option 1 is wrong. Now second option, in this diagram 4 megaspores are arranged in one plane and are equally spaced apart. So this is wrong, because the correct diagram to this statement, is given here. So this is the correct diagram. So in this diagram you can see the arrangement of 4 microspores in the same plane, in the one plane, and are equally spaced apart. So option 2 is also wrong. Now option 3. The diagram represents the arrangement of microspore tetrads in Magnolia grandiflora and Atriplex. So the third diagram is correct. The same diagram is given in the question. So the answer should be option 3. But before that, let us move to the option 4. Say the option 4 says the diagram represents T-shaped microspore tetrad arrangement. So it should be like this. So this fourth diagram represents the T-shaped tetrad arrangement. Now let us see the examples for the different other types. So here is the example for the linear microspore tetrad, Mimosa pudica, the first diagram in the options. So that represent the linear microspore tetrad. And the next one is representing the isobilateral or tetragonal microspore tetrad. So here the option 2 is the definition of isobilateral microspore tetrad. And the example for this, Typha latifolia as well as Hedycaria arborea. So that belongs to the family Monimiaceae. And of course, option 3 is the right answer. And option 4, the diagram represents T-shaped microscope. The diagram is given here. This is the diagram. And example for this T-shaped microspore tetrad includes Aristolochia as well as Polyanthes species. So the option 3 is the right answer. Option 3 is the right answer to the question number 16. Now question number 17. The whole contents of an anther or anther locule which shed as one united mass of pollen are called. Option 1 tetrads, option 2 dyads, option 3 polyads, option 4 pollinia. So the answer is definitely pollinia. If the whole contents of anther or anther locule which shed as one united mass of pollen, they are called as pollinia. Now question number 18. Read the following statements and find out the incorrect statement. Statement 1. All flowering plants shows sexual reproduction. Option 2. Statement 2. Fruits and seeds are the end products of sexual reproduction. Statement 3. Rich colors, scents and perfumes of flowers aid in sexual reproduction. Statement 4. Flowers are objects of aesthetic, ornamental, social, religious and cultural values. Flowers have always been used as symbols for conveying important human feelings such as love, affection, happiness, grief, mourning, etc. So let us see the options. Option 1, 1, 4 and 5. Option 2, 2, 3 and 4. Option 3, 1, 3 and 5. Option 4, none of the above. So just go through the statements given here. All the flowering plants show sexual reproduction. Of course, the flowers are produced for the sexual reproduction. So this is the right option, right statement. They are asking the incorrect statement. Fruits and seeds are the end products of sexual reproduction. Of course, at the end of the sexual reproduction, after fertilization, the fruits and seeds are formed. Rich colors, scents and the perfumes, the smell or the odor of flowers that helps in the sexual reproduction by attracting the pollinators. So that is also true. Flowers are objects of aesthetic, ornamental and social cultural values. Of course, that is right. And flowers have been used as symbols for conveying important human feelings. So all the statements are correct. They are asking the incorrect statement. So the answer should be none of the above. Question number 19. Read the following statements and find out the incorrect statement. Statement 1. The number and length of stamens are variable in flowers of the same species. Next, a typical angiosperm anther is bilobed with each lobe having 2 thecae. Often a longitudinal groove runs lengthwise separating the theca. The anther consists of 4 microsporangia located at the corners, 1 in each lobe. And the fifth statement, the microsporangia develop further and become pollen sacs, and they extend longitudinally all through the length of an anther and are packed with pollen grains. Options 1, 2, 3 and 4. So what is the right answer here? So they are asking the incorrect statement. So which are the incorrect statements? Some statements are incorrect here. So what are the incorrect statements? The answer is option 3, 1 and 4. Why 1? Statement 1 is wrong. Let us see that. The number and length of stamens are variable in the flowers of same species. In the same species, that should be similar. So the number variation is not possible. Even in all the flowers, the same type of length will be there. So the statement 1 is wrong. The another wrong statement is fourth one. Why fourth statement is wrong? Let's say that. The anther consists of 4 microsporangia, okay, located the corners in 1 in each lobe. Located the corners 1 in each lobe. No, 2 in each lobe. That's why it becomes tetrasporangiate. That consists 4 microsporangia. That is true. That is true. But 2 in each lobe. So the answer is option 3. Now question number 20. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells, the vegetative cell and generative cell. Okay, the vegetative cell. Statement 1 is bigger. Second one, spindle shaped. Third one has abundant food reserve. Fourth one has large, irregularly shaped nucleus. So here, spindle shaped is wrong. So the vegetative cell is bigger, it has abundant food reserve, has large irregularly shaped nucleus. So it should contain 1, 3 and 4. So option 1 is wrong. Definitely option 2 should be the right answer. 3 is wrong, 4 is wrong. Answer is option 2. The correct answer is option 2, the question number 20. Question number 21. A mature male gametophyte is formed from pollen mother cell by. A mature male gametophyte is formed from pollen mother cell by 1 meiotic division, 2 meiotic division, 1 meiotic and 2 mitotic division, 3 meiotic divisions. So what is the right answer? Of course, the pollen grains are produced from the pollen mother cell by 1 meiosis. So 1 meiosis. But here, mature male gametophyte means that consists of gametes. So gametes are produced by mitotic division. They are produced by mitotic division. So what should be the right answer? The answer is, see here, nucleus, that is haploid, of pollen grain divide by mitosis to form a vegetative cell and generative cell. The generative cell divides mitotically to give rise to 2 male gametes before the pollen grains are shed at 3-celled stage. So 1 meiosis for the production of 4 pollen grains, and each pollen grain, then what happens? The nucleus of microspore undergoes 1 mitosis, leads to the formation of 2 cells, vegetative cell and generative cell. Then the generative cell nucleus undergoes 1 more mitosis. So second mitosis leads to the formation of 2 male gametes. So the answer should be option C. Question number 22. Read the following statements. Statement A. In some cereals such as rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes of their release. This statement is correct. Now, statement B. It is possible to store pollen grains of a large number of species for years in liquid nitrogen, and the technology is called as cryopreservation. So, in cryopreservation, liquid nitrogen is used. Okay. Now, statement C. The number of ovules in an ovary may be 1, too many, 1, wheat, paddy, mango, etc. Okay. And many, papaya, watermelon consist many number of seeds. So, that is also correct. Now, statement D. Integuments encircle the ovule except at the tip where small opening called chalaza is organized. No, this statement is wrong because that is not chalaza. That opening is called as micropyle. So that should be micropyle. So D is wrong. Statement E. Opposite to the chalazal end is a micropyle representing the basal part of the ovule. Micropyle is not representing the basal part. Chalaza is representing the basal part. So D is wrong. E is wrong. Then what should be the right answer? They are asking among these how many statements are true. So just now we told that D is wrong, E is wrong. So A correct, B correct, C correct. Then answer should be 3. Option 1, 1. Option 2, 2. And option 3, 5. Option 4, none of these. So what is the right? Option 4 is none of these. So what is the right option? According to our knowledge, the answer should be 3. But correct answer is 1. Why? So while reading the statements, we have not noticed the point given inside the bracket. So just to see the statement B. In bracket, it is given as 194 degrees Celsius. Actually, it should be minus 196 degrees Celsius. And in the statement C, in bracket, it is given as wheat, paddy, mango and orchids. So the number of ovule in the ovary of wheat, paddy and mango is 1. But in orchids, many. So normally what we will do while reading the statements, we may not give more importance to the points given inside the bracket. Actually, we should give more importance to the bracket, the points given inside the bracket. Even in our life, the additional information given by the teacher, it may be related to the life or it may be related to the subject. So such points are also very, very important. So statement A is correct, B is wrong, C is wrong, D is wrong, E is wrong. So the answer is 1. So let us make it correct. In option B or in the statement B, it should be minus 196 degrees Celsius. And in statement C, orchids are with many ovules. And in the statement D, it's not chalaza, it should be micropyle. And in the statement E, opposite to the micropyle end is the chalaza representing the basal part of the ovule. So the answer is 1. Now, question number 23. Monosporic development in majority flowering plants is. In majority of the flowering plants is. So what are the options? Option 1. Development of female gametophyte from megaspore. Option 2. Development of male gametophyte from microspore. Option 3. Formation of megaspore from megaspore mother cell. And option 4. Formation of microspore from microspore mother cell. So monosporic development in majority of flowering plants is the development of female gametophyte from megaspore. So the answer is option 1. Now question number 24. The plant papaver is an example of. Option 1. Multicarpellary apocarpus condition. Option 2. Multicarpellary syncarpus condition. Option 3. Ovary with single ovule. Red colored fleshy petal is option 4. So what is the right answer? The right answer is the plant papaver is an example of multicarpellary syncarpus condition. Multicarpellary means the gynoecium is made up of many number of carpels. Syncarpus means the carpels are fused. So option 2 is the right answer to the question number 24. Now the question number 25. Which one of the following cells has abundant reserve food materials? Option 1. Cells of nucellus, microspore mother cell, embryo sac, megaspore mother cell. The question is, which one of the following cells has abundant reserve food material? Megaspore mother cell, nothing but nucellus cells that consist reserve food material. Embryo sac does not contain reserve food material. Microspore mother cell means pollen mother cell, that also consists reserve food material, but that is mainly responsible for the production of microspores. Megaspore mother cell, of course, that is one of the nucellus cell, and the major function is to produce the megaspores. But the cells of the nucellus, their function is to provide the nourishment to the developing female gametophyte or the embryo sac. So functionally the nucellus cells are nutritive in function. So the answer should be option 1. Option 1. Now question number 26. Which one of the following conditions is seen in Michelia? What is Michelia? Michelia is nothing but Michelia champaka, sampige. So multicarpellary syncarpus pistil, multicarpellary apocarpus pistil, monocarpellary monolocular pistil, bicarpellary apocarpus pistil. See, the Michelia consists many number of carpels. So it should be multicarpellary. And their carpels are not fused. So that is apocarpus pistil. So the answer should be option 2. See, this is the flower of Michelia. So the answer is option 2 is the right answer to the question number 26. Question number 27. Functional megaspore in an angiosperm develops into. This question was asked in NEET 2019. Functional megaspore in an angiosperm develops into endosperm, embryo sac, embryo, ovule. So definitely it leads to the development of embryo sac. Option 2 is the right answer to the question number 27. Question number 28. Match the following. Okay, in the column 1, nucellus, embryo sac, chalaza, micropyle are given, and in the column 2, the definitions are given or the characteristic features are given. Let us see. Nucellus, 7-celled, 8 nucleated female gametophytes. So that matching is wrong. So it should be nucellus is a mass of thin-walled parenchymatous tissue that covers embryo sac. So 1 should be C. Embryo sac. What is embryo sac? Embryo sac is 7-celled, 8 nucleated female gametophyte. So 2 should be A. 1C, 2A. Chalaza. What is chalaza? Chalaza is the basal portion of ovule from where integuments arise. And micropyle is a small opening left at the apex of the integument. So that is correctly matched. So micropyle 4D, 3B, 2A and 1C. Where it is given 1C is given in the option 2 as well as in option 4. So option 2 is the right answer to the question number 28. Now question number 29. Function of synergids is to attract the pollen tube, fuse with extra male gametes and form endosperm, produce additional embryo, protect egg from pathogen. You know, the synergids consist a special structure called as filiform apparatus which attracts the pollen tube, which helps for the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac. So the answer should be option 1. Question number 30. The point of attachment of funicle to the body of the ovule is called as, very easy, hilum. So it is given in the option O. Option is not given. Hymen is given. Hymen is different. Hymen is a part of the female reproductive system in human beings. So that is totally different. Chalaza is wrong. Raphe is wrong. So the answer should be none of these. The correct answer is hilum. It is not given in the option. Question number 31. During the formation of embryo sac, the functional megaspore undergoes 2 mitotic divisions, 2 meiotic divisions, 3 meiotic divisions, 3 mitotic division. So during the formation of embryo sac, the functional megaspore is haploid, so there is no chance for the occurrence of meiosis, so definitely it has to undergo mitosis. But how many mitosis takes place? So you know, the matured embryo sac is 7-celled, 8 nucleated. Megaspore develops into embryo sac. Megaspore consists only 1 nucleus, but the matured embryo sac consists 8 nuclei. So 1 nucleus develops into 8 haploid nuclei, means it has to undergo 3 mitotic division. So the answer is 3 mitotic division. Question number 32. Nucellus forms which of the following parts of seed? Seed coat. No. Seed coat is derived from integuments. Perisperm. Seed. Endosperm. Endosperm is developing from primary endosperm cell or primary endosperm nucleus, and that is formed by the fusion of male gamete and the secondary nucleus. So that is wrong. Seed is nothing but the fertilized ovule. The entire ovule develops as seed. So the answer is perisperm. Perisperm is nothing but a portion of nucellus which is retained along with the seed. So the answer is perisperm. Question number 33. Among the following structures and their functions, which of these is wrongly matched? Tapetum nourishes the developing pollen grains. That is true. So they are asking the wrongly matched one. Pericarp, the outer wall of the ovary that develops from the fruit wall. Correct. Synergids nourish the zygote in gymnosperms. Nucellus cells have abundant reserve food material. So fourth one is correctly matched. Second one as well as first one are also correct matched. So synergids nourish the zygote in gymnosperm is wrong. So the answer is option 3. Question number 34. The hilum and micropyle lie side by side, very close to each other in Anatropous ovule. So this is a picture of Anatropous ovule. Second one is Campylotropous ovule. So this is a photograph of Campylotropous ovule. Third one, Amphitropous ovule. So this is Amphitropous ovule. The last one is Succinotropous ovule, and this is a photograph of Succinotropous ovule. So hilum and micropyle lie side by side, very close to each other in. The answer is Anatropous ovule, inverted ovule. Question number 35. Caruncle is derived from a special type of integument: cotyledons, integument, peduncle, and pedicel. So definitely the answer is, it should be integument. So before that, let us see what are cotyledons. Cotyledons are the embryonic leaves, helps in the storage of food in the seeds. Integument are the protective layers of ovule, which later develops as seed coats. Peduncle is the stalk of the inflorescence, common floral axis. Pedicel is the stalk of the flower. And caruncle or strophiole type of integuments are nothing but it is formed due to the outgrowth of outer integument over the micropyle and commonly found in the Ricinus communis. So the answer is integument. Now question number 36. Generally number of integuments in the ovule of monocots and gymnosperm is 1 and 2, 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 2. So what is the number of integuments in ovule of monocots and gymnosperm? Answer is, so let us see the different types: unitegmic, bitegmic, ategmic. So these are the different types. So unitegmic means it consists one. Higher dicots like Compositae, gymnosperms consist unitegmic type of integuments or the ovules. And bitegmic means presence of two integuments, most commonly found in monocots, primitive dicots like Cruciferae malvaceae. Tritegmic or polytegmic ovules are found in Asphodilus. Here the 3 or more integuments will be there. And ategmic means no integument, normally found in Santalum, Loranthus, Liriosoma, Olex, etc. So the answer should be unitegmic, bitegmic. So unitegmic in gymnosperms, bitegmic in monocots. So first monocots are given. So the answer should be 2 and 1. The answer should be 2 and 1. Question number 37. Collar-like outgrowth arising from the base of the ovule and forming a sort of third integument is known as caruncle, aril, operculum. So here means in some of the plants unicellular filaments like structures are present on the seed, which is formed by the cells of outer surface of integument. Example, Calotropis gossypium. Caruncle or strophiole, just now we studied about that. It is formed due to the outgrowth of outer integument over the micropyle. Aril is the third integument which develops from the funicle at the base of the ovule. And operculum is a series of bones found in bony fish that serves as a facial support structure and protective covering for the gills. It is also used for respiration and feeding. So normally this term is used in case of animals. So the answer should be aril. So the answer is option C. Okay. Now question number 38. Ovule of Capsella is. See, Capsella is a genus of herbaceous plant and biennial plants in the family Brassicaceae, and it is a close relative of Arabidopsis. And there are 3 species: Capsella rubella, Capsella bursa pastoris, and Capsella grandiflora. And here is a photograph of Capsella. So now let us see the options. The ovule of Capsella is orthotropous, B. Anatropous. C. Campylotropous. D. Amphitropous. Orthotropous means straight. So it is commonly found in the Piperaceae, Eutricaceae, Cycads, Polygonaceae. Anatropous found in Helianthus tridax. Campylotropous found in Capsella, some legumes, Chenopodium. Amphitropous found in Botomos, some crucifers. So definitely the answer is Campylotropous. So Campylotropous is the answer to the question number 38. Question number 39. What is the direction of micropyle in Anatropous ovule? Inverted, upward, right, left. The answer is, see, here is the photograph of Anatropous ovule. So the question is, what is the direction of micropyle in Anatropous ovule? Micropyle is present very near to the point of attachment of funicle to the body of the ovule, that is called as hilum. So what is the answer here? The answer is, so in this case, the ovules become completely inverted during the development so that the micropyle lies close to the hilum. So the answer is inverted. Now, question number 40, the last question. Crassinucellate ovule shows. Crassinucellate ovule shows absence of nucellus, well-developed nucellus, partially developed nucellus, and ill-developed nucellus. The answer is crassinucellate ovule means the nucellus is massive or more, normally found in the members of Casuarinaceae. So more number or massive amount of nucellus is present. So the answer is well developed nucellus. Okay students, so let us stop here. The remaining topics and the related MCQs will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.